that in an integer variable. What is this?
Implicit.
It is an implicit one, correct? Because what is the size of your character?
2 bytes.
2 bytes. And what is the size of your integer?
4 bytes.
4.
4 bytes.
Okay, so you're trying to store a 2 byte variable in a 4 byte variable, so which is from smaller to larger. So whenever a smaller value stored in a larger variable, then it is called widening casting or implicit casting technically, and non-technically you can say automatically the value will be stored. Now here comes another example, a float and I'm trying to store the float in my long.
Implicit.
Implicit
Implicit conversion.
conversion. Okay. Okay. Tell me, what is the size of float?
4 bytes.
4 bytes.
4 bytes.
What is the size of your long?
8 bytes.
8 bytes. So what are you trying to do? Smaller to larger or larger to smaller? Sorry? Tell me what is happening. Smaller to larger or larger to smaller?
Smaller to
Smaller
larger,
to
Teja.
larger. But why are we getting an error? We did the same thing in all our previous statements. We didn't get an error, but here we are getting an error. Why? Even though it is smaller to larger, it is logically possible, but we are getting an error. Maybe I'll show you the error message also. Why? Can someone read the error message?
Type mismatch cannot convert from float to long.
Yes, type mismatch cannot convert from float to long because here, even though you are trying to do a smaller value in decimal value, yes. So, whenever if it is smaller to larger,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
if the type of your input is mismatching, then you cannot say it is an implicit. Instead, you have to say it is going to be an explicit or narrowing casting. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So always remember, whenever you are coming across with typecasting questions in your interview, you have to not just look into smaller to larger or larger to smaller. After looking that, you also have to look into the type of your input. That is very, very important. Okay. Now I'll give you one more example. I'll say byte B1 B2. Now, here what is happening? Smaller to larger or larger to smaller?
Small to large.
Small to large. Okay. Others? Smaller to larger, correct? Same applies over here. here byte is going to be 1 byte variable, and character is going to be a 2 byte variable. Even though you are trying to do a smaller to larger, it is throwing me an error because the type of input is different. So whenever you are trying to do such things, and if it is not automatically fitting in to fit into the concept, how will you do? You before this before this float getting stored in long, you convert this float to long. Before this byte means you convert your right hand side into as per the left hand side. Now tell me, what is the data type in your left hand side of your line number 19? What was the data type?
Long.
Long. So after you give a variable to be stored, give a normal bracket and give this data type. And so your error gets rectified. See, your error vanished. Here, I want the character. So here what I'll do, I'll give my bracket and I'll take the data type and place it over here. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Whenever you do manually the conversion, then storing it, then it is going to be a narrowing casting. Okay, now there is some more example which I wanted you to have an understanding. So what I'll do is, I am going to create a long input. Let me say long. I have created long before. Yes, L is there. So I'll say L1. Okay, long L1 is equal to some random inputs I'll give. I mean the random values I'm giving it. And if you are already aware what is the size of your long, then you know why am I giving this such a long input. I have created a long input. Now I'm trying to store this L1, okay, in an integer variable. I'll say, do I have I1? No. I'll say I1. Now what is happening? Is it smaller to larger or larger to smaller?
Larger to smaller.
Larger
Larger
to
to small.
smaller. Others?
Larger to smaller.
Larger to smaller.
Larger to small. Whenever you are trying to store a larger input to a smaller variable, again it is not automatically possible. You have to manually convert it. How do you manually convert? What is the syntax?
And
Brackets and then put the
To
flag
convert into
int.
what? You see the right hand side and give the same within your bracket. So when do we say the casting is a narrowing or an explicit is whenever you try storing a larger value in a smaller variable, or whenever you try storing the smaller one in a larger smaller one in a larger variable with a different type. If you come across with either of the scenario mentioned here or highlighted here, then that type of casting is narrowing casting. If you come across with either of this highlighted scenario, then it is called implicit or widening casting, technically speaking. Is the typecasting clear?
Will the output be
Tell me the line number.
will be same for both 24 and
24 and
25?
25. Okay, so here you want me to print both L1 and I1. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, I'll show you that. Maybe for all the possible examples I gave, I'll give you the output also. So now here I'm trying to print the last scenario alone. So when I print the last run my code, you get your output as per the data type. So now here L1 is a long data type. So it considers all the inputs as per the range. But when it comes to integer, the range was limited. What was the size of your long?
8 bytes.
4 bytes, correct? So this 8-byte input will be converted into a 4-byte input. So there will be a difference in values. That is what you should understand. You are getting converted. Now how here, when you say A is getting stored in J, do you get A being printed or something else? Here you see CH to be printed and here you say J to be printed. Now I'll remove these two printing statements. Now what will be your output? If I run this code, what will be my output?
A and ASCII value of A.
A and the ASCII value of A. So whatever you are assigning, that gets automatically converted as per the requirement. But here we are manually converting. Only the process is changing. How do you get a different output here? Similarly, here also you will get a different output. If you see here B1 and printing of CH1. Now I'll remove this printing statement. Okay, now when I run the code, B1 is 90 and equivalent character of 90 was Z, that was being printed. Clear?
No.
Okay, similarly we'll see output of this. You get A to be printed, then you get L to be printed. Now I'll remove this printing statement, and in that case, see here 10.5 to 10. Why? Because here it is of numerical and falls almost within the range. That's the only difference. But here it is of similar data type. I mean similar. Long is also a non-decimal input. Int is also a non-decimal input. That is why you see a major difference. Here byte is a numerical input. Character is a character input. I mean opposite of that. So you see a difference. Here float is a decimal and long is a non-decimal. You see bit similar. So here the same. So depending on the type of your input, there can be a small difference or a larger difference. That's it. And people are clear with your typecasting, quickly raise up your hand. We can go for the control statement. Okay, great. So I could see 15 of you have raised up your hand. On that note, we'll move on for your day 2 topic. So let me create a new project. I'll say file new under Java project, and let me name the project to be day 2 itself. Let me give a finish. Do not want to create my module info. Done. So inside which, as I told, the topic for the day was control or conditional statements. Let me say form.cg.control statements. The package, sorry, this is your class, right? Okay, so class name, maybe first one. We'll first have a look on the operations. So I'll say operations or operators demo. Because when you wanted to work on conditionals, then yes, you play with the operators. Now tell me which all operators you know or which all operations you know in Java. This is a known question. If you don't answer, then I'll think you are not aware, then I'll start explaining.
Arithmetic operator.
Arithmetic operator, good.
Relational operator. Assignment operator. Conditional operator.
Super.
Logical operator. Bitwise.
Great. So yes, we have so many other operators which we are coming across for a longer period of time. Arithmetic, relational, conditional, then maybe bitwise, logical, and someone is aware about ternary operator? Okay. Okay, some only few are aware about it, I guess. And you might be aware about increment and decrement also.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so today we are not going to see examples of all the operations, because all other operations like arithmetic, assignment, relation, it's a very well known and we have come across, and we did not face any issues in that particular operations. So on that note, I'm going to focus only on two different operations under this topic of operators. The first one was increment and decrement, like pre-increment, post-increment, pre-decrement, post-decrement, and ternary operator. Before me explaining, I'm just going to check it out how many are good in it. So directly I'm going to write the question for you. So what am I going to do is I'm going to create an integer variable a and stores 20 in it, and one more integer variable b and stores an input in it. Maybe I'll give a different input. Here it's 10 and here it is 20. Then I'll say one more input over here. Now when I try printing my a and b, I hope nothing is there in this process. So you get a and b to be printed. So when I run my code, I get 10 and 20 to be printed. Now I'm going to do plus a. What is this? When I write plus a, what type of operation I'm trying to do?
Increment.
Yes,
Pre-increment.
yes. It's a
Increases the value.
increment operation. Good. But I don't want the answer. Now what am I going to do is, I'm going to do a set of operations and store it in C. I'm going to say again plus a, that gets added with B, and that gets added with A minus minus. Now when I try printing C, what will be my output was the question. So it's your turn now. Give a try. Use your chat box to give your answers.
32.
30.
30. Okay. I'm going to possible answers which I'm getting. 30, 32. Then keep responding. I'll be waiting for a minute. Then I'll move on for explanation. Okay, 31,
31.
41 also I have got an answer. Give your answers in the chat, so I'll take collectively. Okay, so I could see few answers saying 41, 42, 43, 31, 31, 41, 42, 43. Okay,
40.
40. Okay. Is there anyone still wants to add the answer, or can I move on for the explanation? 44. Okay. Done. 44. Okay. So now we'll see which is the right answer. First of all, before we seeing the answer for this particular program, I just want an answer from every one of you. Sorry. When you see a pre-incrementation, what do you do?
Add 1.
Add 1 to it. Okay. Then, is there anything else we have to do? Okay. So, whenever you see a pre-operation, let it be a pre-increment or let it be a pre-decrement. Okay. There are two things which you wanted to do. Okay. Whenever you see a pre-operation, you have to first perform the operation. If it is an addition, then you do +1. If it is a subtraction, then you do -1. Okay. And what do you do later? Assign the result of the operation to the assignment variable if there is any variable. Clear? Is the 2 points clear? Okay. Moving on. Coming to your post operation. I mean a post increment or a post decrement. The step number 1 you have to do is assign the value of the variable to the assignment operator, I mean assignment variable, if any, then perform the operation. Post is exact opposite to your pre. Clear? Is there anyone having doubts in it? Because only if you're clear with the statements, you will be able to perform your logics and get your output. People are clear with the statements I have written, raise up your hands. Okay, now with the help of this statement, we are going to see what is happening in these 3 lines and what is the value of C. Now here you have a pre-incrementation. What is your step number 1 of pre-operation?
Perform the operation.
Perform the operation. So when you see plus A, it is nothing but A plus 1. So what is the value of A? It is 10. So 10 plus 1 is equal to 11. Now what is your point number 2 of pre-operation?
Assign the result of the operation to the assignment variable.
Yes, you have to assign it to your assignment variable. Do we have any assignment variable here? What is assignment variable? You are assigning a value 10 to a variable A. So this A becomes assignment variable. So do we have any variable similarly here? You have to assign it to A itself. When you see plus A, it is nothing but A is equal to A plus 1. Clear? Clear or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So now what happens? The updated value of A will be 11. Good. Now moving on for your line number 10. Now what is happening here? Is that a pre-operation or a post-operation? Pre-operation. What is the current value of A? 11. And it's a pre-operation. So what should you do first? Perform the operation. So plus A means A is equal to A plus 1. So 11 plus 1, it becomes 12. Am I right? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Next you have B, wherein none of the operation is expected to be done. Whatever is initialized, you take the same. which is 20. Next, you have A minus minus. What is this A minus minus? Pre or post?
Post.
Post operation. What should you do for the step number 1 of post?
Then the value of the
Assigning the
variable.
value.
Assign the value. What is the current value of A?
Well,
Well,
Well, because here we do perform an operation with respect to A. So 12 will be considered. Then decrementation of 1 will happen. So that is why your answer for C is 44. And when you run the code here, you get 44 as your answer. Maybe, is this A value got changed or not? If you have a doubt, then you can go printing A. Now, what should be the current value of A?
11.
11. Let's check. Do we get 11? Yes, we do get 11. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So the right answer for this particular set of code is 44. Now I'll give you one more set. You give a try. I'll say I'm doing an operation and storing it in the variable D. I'll say C plus plus that gets added with A and that gets added with B minus minus. If I print D, what will be my answer? So this is your complete program. Take a minute of time. And as usual, give your answers in the chat. I'll take the collective responses. Okay, I get 75 as the answer. Okay, I'll write it over here. Others, let me wait for others. Okay, I get the similar answer, 75 from every one of you. So maybe I'll wait. If someone comes up with different answer, I'll make note. Then I'll explain. If not, I'll move on. Pratmesh, you have raised up your hand. Do you have any doubt?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so I could see all answers to be 75. So without any delay, let me run the code. And your answer is 75. So good. You gave a very good try and got the right answer. Is there anyone wants me to explain again? Raise up your hand. Do not feel shy saying like, okay, I couldn't get it. Others have got it. What if others thinks? Not a problem at all. Raise up your hand. Okay. Yeah. So let me explain you. Now here you have C++. What is the current value of C?
44.
44. Is that a pre-operation or a post-operation?
Yes.
Post-operation. So the value will be considered. Then it does the work. Here it's incrementation. So the C value gets updated to 45 after you consider the value. So 44 is considered. And what is the current value of A? Here we gave a print because it is A minus minus. You considered 12. After that, 1 will be reduced. So what is the current value of A?
11.
11. So you consider that 11 over here. Next, what is this? B minus minus. Is that a pre or post?
Post.
Post operation. So the value of B will be considered. What is the value of B? The recent one was used here only and it is 20 only. So you give 20 over here. And if you add up everything, you get 75. Again, here you have both the post operation. Now if you see, try printing C and if you try printing B, what should be your value of C? Since it is a post of incrementation, 44 was the current value. 44 plus 1, it becomes 45. And D, it's a post decrementation. The current value was 20. So 20 minus 1, it becomes 19. Clear? A very simple thing, what should you keep in your mind? See here, 75, 45 and 19. A very simple thing which you should keep it in your mind is this steps. Whenever you see a post, consider the current value, then do your operation. If it is pre, do the operation and take the updated value. People are clear with pre and post, increment and decrement. Raise up your hands quick. I could say 22 of you in the session, maybe 21 of you in the session. I expect at least 20 of you to raise up your hand. So 13 have raised up your hand, 13 to 14. The rest people? Okay, hope so. Others are clear. So here comes the end of your pre and post. Now we will move on for your ternary operator. Straight away I'll write the logic. Then I'll say x is equal to, we have already declared x over here saying 10. Okay, so x is equal to 10 equal to x question mark 1 colon 0. Now when I try printing x, what will be my output? Maybe 1. Your value of x is 10 as per the declaration. Check, did we use x anywhere over here? Then answer my question. I've got 3 answers from Sheikh Mohammed, Aarti, Pratik, Manvita, Aswan. Others? Condition, true or false? Exactly the same. So yes, you guys are right. The answer is 1. What is this ternary operator? Is nothing but you will condition output of first will be your, that will be given as output. If not this, it's not 1 and 0. If you say hello here, okay, and if you say world here, what happens now here? What is the issue? Why are we getting error? Should we give always 1 and 0, or can we give anything else? You can give anything else, but the problem here is the type of your variable x is your integer. Now when I say string yes, and when I say yes to be printed, not a problem. Now what's your output? What's your output? Hello. So the simple understanding is the condition you are mentioning, if it is true, your first input will be your output. If your condition is false, your second input will be your output. Make sure the input which you give here is similar to the data type of your variable. That's the only condition. You have to keep it in your mind. Now tell me, what is this ternary operator is an alternative for which concept?
Conditional operation.
Conditional operation, okay. Yes, it is if else. This might be your interview question also. If you wanted to implement the if else in your code without using the if and else keyword, then how is it possible? If someone asks you, then your output would be using ternary operator. Clear? Yes, great. So now we'll move on for one more example using operators, but not directly. I'll create a class which says decision making with operators. Okay, so since it's a well-known concept, so I'll directly write the code. You guys can tell me the answer. So I'm creating a variable x and initializing it with 8, and a variable y and initializing it with 7, and one more variable a with 10, and one more variable b with 11. And here I'm using a if condition. If x, I'm not going to tell what am I writing because I wanted you to guess it out. I'll say true. Okay. Else false. What's my output here?
True.
Okay. Others?
True. True.
True. So what can someone spell it out what I have written
True.
here?
If x is greater
X is
than or is
greater.
equal to y.
X is greater than or equal to y. So what do? You check for the input of x and you check for the input of y. And if this condition is true, then accordingly you get your output. Great. So the right answer for the particular program is going to be true. Now I'm going to give one more logic. Again, I'll write a if condition. I'll say this logic. Again, I'm not going to spell it out. What am I writing? I'll say true and false again. So what's the output? You can tell me. Else
True.
true. Okay. Others true again. Let's run the code. You get true. Again, can someone spell it out the condition of your if?
Ma'am, if A is not greater than B or A is equals
Okay.
to B, or A is equals to B. If any one of the condition gets true, then we print true. If any one of the condition gets false, then we will print false.
Great. Superb. So what is the name of the operator which I have used
Ma'am,
here?
Or.
Okay, good. Good try. Someone wants to add on? Yes, it is an or, but I want a specific answer.
Logical or
Logical or. Okay. So what happens is whenever you wanted to solve conditions using an operator of or and, you have to know the truth table or the working condition of that particular operator. So when you work on with the or operator, if either of your input is true, what is your output? Can someone repeat it?
Ma'am, true.
True. If you are using an operator, if either input, then your output is same question for and. If either is true or if either of your input is false,
False.
then what's your output?
false.
You come up across the scenarios like permutation, combination, or the logical thinking, you end up getting this answer for the statement. And why did I specifically ask for the logical or as the answer is, there are cases you end up getting the bitwise or. How do you express the bitwise or? What is the operator of bitwise or operation? For logical, we are going to answer me now. What is the symbol of logical and? Symbol of bitwise and? Logical or bitwise. Tell me what is the answer for all this? How do we express it? Or how does the operator looks like?
Ampersand.
Ampersand. Okay, maybe for one we have a direct answer. When you see such representation, it's logical or. Then how do we represent bitwise? When you go using the what is the name of your latest type, which you will be finding above of enter or below of backspace in your laptops. Okay, so when you have 2 times the pipe operator, then it was logical OR. When you have a single time pipe operator, it is bitwise OR. Similarly, when you see 2 times ampersand, it is logical. A single time ampersand, it is bitwise. Clear? Yes or no? Yes. Great. Now, how does the working of logical and bitwise varies? Can someone explain me if you are aware?
Ma'am.
How does the working? Does anyone know first of all? Okay. So now, for example, if you have, okay, what variables we have? A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 11. When I write A ampersand B, it gives me an answer. When I write A logical and B, it gives me an answer. First of all, when I write 10 bitwise and 10, 11, what will you do? Basically, both the representations are same only. Okay, but most of the time we use this logical and, okay, in your conditions of true and false only. But bitwise and you'll get answers. For example, the output of your logical and will always be Boolean. Okay, the output of bitwise and mostly it will be integer. How does it works if you ask me? Now you have to convert this 10 into zeros and ones. How do you write 10 in zeros and ones?
1010.
1010. Okay. Maybe for people who are not aware, if you wanted to convert an integer input into a bitwise, so you can follow this. You can maybe understand this in a reverse manner. You have to remember the series like this. I'll give a space between each. Okay, so maximum it's not only 64, you can extend till 128 and it goes on. Okay, so now what is my requirement? It is 10. Now tell me, out of this set of series, which all number, if I add it up, I get 10? The highlighted one.
8 and 2.
8 and 2. So what should you do is, for rest all positions, you have to give 0. For 64, it is 0. For 32, it is 0. 16, it is 0. And for 8, it is 1. And for 4, it is 0. And for 2, it is 1. And 1, it is 0. And first 4 bits alone, it is more than sufficient if you are finding your answer within the 4. Clear? That is why it is 1010. Clear for everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now tell me, how do we write 11 in zeros and ones?
1011.
10.
1011, because we know 8 plus 2 is 10, and if I add this 1, it becomes 11. So I say 1011. After that, you have to add it all this. How do you add it? You have to write it like this: 1010, and you have to write 1011. And if you do an addition of this, you have to do it selecting this number. If you add, if you perform AND operation for input 0 and 1, what will be your output?
0.
Because as per the AND truth table, if either of your input is 0, output is 0. Next, if you do 1 and 1,
1.
1. If you do 0 and 0,
0.
0. And if you do 1 and 1,
1.
1. Now, what is the equivalent integer for 1010?
10.
It is 10. So this is how you do a bitwise operation. And if you print, see here, I'll give a simple printing statement, whatever we did. I'll say, am I writing inside the method? No, I'll give here anyway. I'll say A bitwise and B. Okay. Now let me run the code. What's the output? Could you see the same 10 which we did manually?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so bitwise AND is nothing but converting your input into a binaries, which is zeros and ones, and performing the operation and converting back to integer. Always bitwise AND or bitwise OR end up giving you integer outputs. I mean type of your input, and mostly integer only. And when you go saying, see here, when I say A and B, what do you get? Because you are trying to do a printing which has to be passed as an argument. Could you see the operator and is undefined for the argument int, because the logical and ends up giving you what type of output? Logical ends up giving you what is that? Logical ends up giving you what type of output? Boolean, correct? So you cannot combine a Boolean operator with the integer values. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So bitwise and log, but this is how you the operation may have. But I'm very sure, not of no, it's not everyone is aware that when explained you. Maybe if you have any doubts, please do ask me. But if you are clear, raise up. Okay, great. So we'll move on. So here comes the end of your operations. Okay, now moving on, let me create again a set of codes which we are going to see is a well-known concept. If you quickly respond, we do complete it quickly. First, we are going to see an example for your if. Again, I'm going to write the code. You guys are going to guess the answer. Int x is equal to 5. If x, I'm not going to spell it out. I say value of x is not 5, and I get value of x is 5. Now what's the output of the code?
Value of x is not 5. Value of x is 5.
Okay. Now I wanted you to use a chat box to tell me which line of code will be your output. Only 7, only 8, both 7 and 8. Either of the option. Okay. 8, only 8. Okay. I could see all answers to be only 8. Okay. Others? People who disagree with the answer in the chat, raise up your hand. Everyone agrees with only 8. Okay, people who say only 8, raise up your hand then. Quick. Okay, let's see what's the output. And here is your output. Okay. People who did not answer me, or people who have answered me better, people who have answered me, can someone explain so that people who have not answered will understand?
The conditional statement is if x is not equal to 5. But here the statement, like we have got the value x as 5. So it is not true. So the next statement, like 7th line statement, will not be executed.
Okay,
because
great. Oh, yeah, complete.
And the eighth line is outside the if clause, so it will be normally executing.
Great, good. So, two things you have to note it in this particular program. Whatever you give it in the condition, okay, accordingly it works. If the condition is true, the scope of your if works. What do we say scope? See, in all the programs, did I give this curly braces? Whatever is kept in between the open and close of curly braces is called the scope. Not only over here, maybe in some other place. Now, in your public static void main, here is a open curly braces, and here comes the end. Whatever I keep it inside this will be the scope. So technically, scope means that now the condition is working. You may ask me, ma'am, we did not give curly braces, then how the scope will be decided? If you do not give the curly braces, then the next immediate line alone will be considered as the scope. Okay, if you give the curly braces, then you could say all the lines inside your curly braces. If you do not give any curly braces, then only the next immediate line will be the scope. Clear for everyone? Since almost everyone gave the right answer, so I hope you are very clear about it. And moving on for the next program. Again, I'm telling you, if there is someone having any doubts, it's your responsibility to ask your doubt. Only then I'll get to know. Next, since we have already done with your if else, so I'm directly going on for the nested if else. Nested if else demo, which has public static void main. So here I'm creating a variable A, which is 10, and variable B, which is 20, and variable C, which is 30. Maybe a smaller value let me consider so that it's easy for your calculation. Nothing much bigger calculation anyways. Now I'll say if A is greater than B, maybe I'll not spell it out again, which might help some of you, but I wanted you to sincerely try it. Okay, what's the output?
20.
Okay. Keep giving your answers in the chat. Okay, line number 16. Okay. Okay, so here a very simple program. You say if A is greater than B, 10 is greater than 20, no. So none of your if scope will work. Directly it goes to your else block. And again you say if C is greater than B, no again. So if is not working, so else B will be printed. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So here we have completed typecasting.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
have completed operators like different operators and decision making with the operators, and few of your the conditional or the control statements. Followed with tomorrow, we'll go through with while, do while, then we'll also go with your for loop and the switch statements and break and continue. In case if you feel